And declined expansion to Walnut Canyon has supporters asking for congressional action.
Good evening and welcome to NAZ Today. I'm Bonnie Stevens.
And I'm student anchor Xavier Rangel. Thanks for joining us.
The Coconino County Sheriff's Department is investigating a fatality resulting from a head-on collision. Dispatch received several calls reporting the accident in Doney Park yesterday afternoon.
Now, first responders found the drivers trapped in their vehicles and immediately began procedures to get them out. The paramedics removed both drivers from their cars and began performing life-saving efforts on one of the drivers, 65-year-old Richard Hintz. Unfortunately, Hintz remained unresponsive and was pronounced dead at the scene of the accident. The other driver was taken to Flagstaff Medical Center to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
A Flagstaff man is dead this evening following what police are calling a heroin overdose. Earlier this week, Hollywood actor Philip Seymour Hoffman died of a reported heroin overdose as well. These recent deaths are bringing attention to this dangerous drug that's growing in popularity. Nancy Harrison shares our story.
Flagstaff police officers say they're seeing more heroin use and overdoses in the last couple of months. And today, one of those involved in the overdose died. In this report obtained by NAZ Today, police officers described going into the home of 24-year-old John Chase. Inside, officers say they found a cracker device, whippets, a jar of mushrooms, marijuana and bongs, a syringe, and a metal spoon. Sergeant Corey Runge says while heroin is popular among college students and young adults, he believes that heroin use is cyclical and will fall out of fashion eventually.
What's fashionable for a while is a certain kind of drugs, and that falls out of fashion, and a new drug comes into its place.
One issue that law enforcement faces is variable strength of brands of heroin. Many dealers create super doses to gain popularity among users, and those doses are often fatal. This has led heroin overdose to increase 45% between 2006 and 2010.
He intentionally had filled bags with super doses, hoping someone would OD and die.
It's not just the overdoses that officials are worried about. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid called heroin addiction the scourge that is sweeping the nation. The problem recovering addicts face when trying to quit heroin is the withdrawal symptoms are often so harsh that they lead to hospitalization or death.
When people start taking heroin and their bodies become addicted to it, it's very difficult to quit. In fact, if they did quit, it could kill them.
Despite the issues with heroin use, the Flagstaff Police Department says they're doing their best to keep heroin off the streets and citizens safe. For NAZ Today, I'm Nancy Harrison.
According to police reports, John Chase shared a home with a man and a woman, and they found Chase lying face down on his bed, not breathing. EMTs tried CPR, but Chase died after being transported to Flagstaff Medical Center.
CVS Caremark announced its decision to stop selling cigarettes and other tobacco products. The second largest drugstore chain will phase out tobacco by October 1st in its 76,000 stores nationwide as it shifts toward becoming more of a healthcare provider. NAZ Today's Ryan Maderick has more.
To refocus their commitment as a healthcare provider, CVS, the nation's second largest drugstore chain, will no longer be selling tobacco products. CVS stated that they will be phasing out cigarettes, cigars, and chewing tobacco by October 1st. Everyone knows that tobacco products come with a steep price, so how will removing these harmful products affect the store?
It might hurt their sales initially, but since they are going to more of a health store, I think in the long run it'll be good for them.
CVS earns approximately $1.5 billion annually in tobacco sales across their 7,600 stores nationwide.
I feel that it's the right of the business and the business owners to be able to sell or not sell whatever they want.
The new commitment on healthcare comes backed by solid facts. In the 1970s, nearly 40% of Americans could be found with a cigarette in hand. That number has dropped to about 18% today. The U.S. retail sales of tobacco, comprised mostly of cigarettes, totaled $100.7 billion in 2012. Drugstores like CVS account for only 4% of cigarette sales. This number pales in comparison to the nearly 50% sold at gas stations. To continue their path as a healthcare provider, CVS will be training pharmacists to counsel customers on how to kick the habit. For NAZ Today, I'm Ryan Maderick.
A decision made by the National Park Service has left Walnut Canyon expansion supporters hoping for congressional action. Federal officials have declined the proposed 3,600-acre expansion of Walnut Canyon National Monument, located just outside of Flagstaff. The areas in study included residential areas, popular rock climbing locations, and even archaeological sites. Most of the expansion area is national forest, but some is state trust land and private property. Coconino County received a federal study that stated cultural resources in the proposed expansion area do not meet federal requirements for natural significance.
When a sexual assault occurs, who comes to the aid of the victim? A Flagstaff social service agency is among those who quickly respond and give both medical and emotional help to the victim. Kaylee George explains.
And she is the program coordinator for NACASA. So to start things off, can you just tell us a little bit about NACASA and what this organization does?
Sure. NACASA stands for the Northern Arizona Center Against Sexual Assault, and I coordinate the program, and we have a team of nurses who are specially trained to provide immediate medical services and intervention for victims of sexual assault.
Now, you said that nurses do this. What are their typical job tasks, and can you kind of just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Most of our providers are nurses. We have other providers as well, but they are specially trained with some intensive training to care for a victim right after an assault. And they basically go through a full head-to-toe assessment of the person and take a full medical history. And based on that history, they will care for and treat any injuries. And also they collect evidence and specimens and samples that may end up at the crime lab in conjunction with the case.
Now, what is this role when they're working with the victims? Do they directly work with them? What sort of other things do they do?
So typically a victim would come to us either through the police or through our crisis line, which we partner with Northland Family Help Center, and they can come to us that way as well. And the nurses will then meet the victim, and usually a victim witness advocate accompanies them and kind of provides support. So it's a direct service intervention.
Now, I know that there's a lot of services with domestic violence, but are there any other extra services that NACASA focuses on? Or?
Well, historically, NACASA has only provided services for sexual assault victims, but as of February 1, we are expanding our services under a pilot program to provide care, similar care to victims of strangulation as well, because it is a very risky and lethal situation to be in, and so this is something new that we're doing.
So, with focusing on strangulation, can you tell us a little bit why this is important for the Flagstaff community?
It's important because the evidence is needed in order to really hold offenders accountable and make a good case in court for that victim to get justice. And strangulation is something where the victim should be watched for like at least 24 hours because symptoms can pop up later that are really dangerous.
And with expanding with the strangulation and other services, is this something that happens often in Flagstaff?
Maybe I don't really have the figures, but maybe a couple a month is the average that we're working from right now.
Great. And does NACASA have any other plans of expansion to other types of services?
Right now we're hoping that after the pilot program is done with the strangulation, we can continue offering those services, looking for sustainable funding to do that.
Wow. Well, this organization seems like a great way to help the victims in Flagstaff, and we thank you for coming in today and telling us a little bit about what NACASA does.
Absolutely.
All right, another in a series of weak storm systems moving through Arizona today. Some decent moisture, mainly to the south of Flagstaff. We start this several hours ago. Notice some rain across the southern portion of the state, a little bit of snow along the eastern Mogollon Rim and White Mountains. Then as we get into the later portion of the afternoon, a few snow showers broke out here in Flagstaff. That's starting to clear. The storm system moving off into New Mexico. They really need the moisture. And what do we have tomorrow? Yet another weak storm system. You're just starting to see it move into that portion of your screen, although this one does have more moisture to work with than the ones from earlier in the week. It looks like we have our best snow chances that we've had around here in a couple moons. We're going to talk about it coming right up.
Telescope may be gone, but there's still a lot going on at Lowell Observatory. We'll be right back.
about Pepsi Next?
What's Pepsi Next?
It's the latest cola from Pepsi. It's got real cola taste, but 60% less sugar.
Real cola taste, 60% less sugar.
Yeah, I know.
It's unbelievable.
But this is the most impressive thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Oh, definitely. Let me get the camera. I've never had anything like it. My parents are gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna be so proud.
Pepsi Next. Drink it to believe it.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
With gas prices constantly increasing and our fossil fuels decreasing, one Flagstaff resident explains how he is not only saving money, but saving our planet as well.
This is a Chevy Volt. There's about 4 of them in town. It's a plug-in hybrid, which means that it runs on electric for 35 miles and then it switches over to gasoline. Unlike an all-electric car, you always can use gasoline, so there's not the risk that you're going to run out of electricity. So that's one important reason that I bought a plug-in hybrid, which means it has gas and electric fuel. So that's an important thing. And then the inside, all of the controls and consoles are very modern electronics, and to ride in, it's extremely fast. It really goes pretty fast. I went with a 110 volt charger, so it's standard household current, and that takes about 10 hours if it's completely discharged. You can get a 220 volt system 5 hours, but I went with the standard system just because I didn't want to spend the money on a high voltage charger, and usually I have 10 hours every night after I've been driving the car. I use solar panels to produce most of my electricity, and I added a set of solar panels once I bought the car, so really the car is running off of my solar panels mainly. And so I produce enough electricity with my solar panels to fuel the car, and so I keep my cost at about 2 to 3 cents a mile with my solar as opposed to about 10 cents a mile on gasoline. I wanted to run my entire house, my water heater, some of my heating, and my car all on solar, and that's what I've accomplished here.
Last week we reported that Lowell Observatory removed the historic Clarke telescope, but that hasn't stopped the scope of research going on, get it? Kevin Schindler stopped by to talk to Kimberly Craft and gives us this update.
Welcome, Kevin. Good to see you again.
Great to see you too.
I want to talk about some of the options for students. You're in the realm of the research and the astronomy business, but so often when I talk to students, they say, heck, I don't want to learn any math. Where am I going to put that to use?
And you're right. I mean, something like astronomy is a great place to put it to use. And, you know, many of the sciences, you know, need math and, of course, scientific background. But there really is an important future in the sciences. And, you know, the money fluctuates. You know, right now we're in a downturn for government funding for research projects. But like at Lowell Observatory, we're looking at alternate sources of income to help ensure that our scientists and future scientists continue their careers. And, you know, for students, you know, the Discovery Channel telescope and NAU's partnership with that.
Talk about that partnership. This is really special. The NAU students involved with Lowell.
Right, it's really valuable. NAU has been doing astronomy research since Art Dell back in the 1940s, 1950s, and it's an important program here at the observatory. Well, NAU has signed on as a partner with the Discovery Channel telescope, meaning X number of nights a year, they're able to use the telescope, and they is the instructors and the students. In fact, one of our astronomers, Phil Massey, taught a class at NAU last fall, and he took his students up to the Discovery Channel telescope. And what a fabulous way for students to learn. The 5th largest telescope in the continental U.S., and the students are able to use it firsthand. That's pretty unusual.
That hands-on is so important, and that's what students tell me when I meet with them, and they really want those experiences, and this is really exceptional. I wanted to ask you, though, if I were a parent of a student, we all want those STEM classes, what should I be saying to my kid to encourage them to find out this exciting field?
Well, I think, there's a really good approach right now to education where there's a lot more focus on science, technology, engineering, math, STEM, and so paying attention to those new programs and getting interested in a young age. And school is more than just reading books, it's experiencing, and that's just like the students with DCT. For me, with the science background, the best part is the field work and using a telescope or digging up fossils. And if the students can get interested and do that at a young age, they're going to be hooked.
Well, we are also going to revisit this issue. I know that you have a number of exciting workshops for kids coming up.
Right. Yeah, we have over the last couple of years, and it ties in with the overall STEM initiative statewide and further. We have summer camps that are for students 1st grade through 6th. We're adding middle school camps this year. We also have programs for preschoolers. And if you can imagine a 3 or 4-year-old with their parent learning astronomy, it's appropriate for that age level, but they're sponges. They pick this stuff up. So every year we keep expanding more and more to try to, get the youth interested in science and see that it's really a lot of fun. And even if they don't go into it as a career, it's something that you should know about.
That's right, and we will talk about it later. It's as important to be a consumer as well as an activist in these areas.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. Thanks, Kevin.
Great, thank you.
Well, now that Flagstaff's dry spell has ended, will the snow continue to fall? Meteorologist Lee Bourne will have your forecast.
And the Flagstaff High School boys basketball team is hoping to reach state. Sports reporter Brooke Cowell will bring us more.
For 20 years and with more than 65,000 success stories, Coconino Community College's commitment to the educational pipeline is vital to your future.
My name is Sheila Hollowhorn. I study mechanical engineering and train as a U.S. Air Force pilot and officer in the CCC to NAU program, which helps students like me transition from the community college to NAU. Upon completion, I'll be giving back by defending our country, and that's why I support CCC.
With your support, Coconino Community College will remain efficient, effective, and excellent.
Tonight's NAZ Today weather is brought to you in part by Terry Markson Chevrolet Cadillac in Flagstaff.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science, become the mayor or something, make the situation better for other people. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, looked like it wanted to snow out there for much today, but we just got a few flurries there late in the afternoon. Today's high temperature, 38 degrees, a little bit below the average for this time of year, 44. Trace of precipitation. Take a look at today's high temperatures across state, staying on the cool side. It's been a kind of cool week around here. 46 in Winslow for a high today, 54 Camp Verde. Payson, you were at 47, still 66 for a high down in Phoenix. A weak storm system, yet another one, moves through the state today. Brought precipitation mainly south of Flagstaff, eastern Mogollon Rim, and even down across the south central desert. It's getting a little rain today. Our next storm system, yet another weak one, moving in onto the California coast, and they are just thrilled because they are going into a wet pattern. It's been very dry around California for the last couple of months, 6-8 weeks, and they're moving into a very wet pattern. For us, not so much. This next storm system, though, does have some decent moisture with it. In the meantime, let's take a look at a close-up of the radar, what's happening out there currently. Still some very light snow showers showers down along the eastern Mogollon Rim, some very scattered snow showers up here along the western Mogollon Rim, everything basically to the south of I-40. And this is going to quickly move off to the east. We're going to see clearing skies as we make our way through the night tonight for us in Flagstaff before the next storm system begins to move in. It's currently 31 here in Flag, 34 at the Grand Canyon, 41 for you in Payson. Okay, let's talk about this next storm system. Again, it's another weak storm. You can't even really find an area of circulation or low pressure. You can kind of barely pick one out here. But notice there's a moisture plume with this one. This is what we haven't seen with the last several weak storm systems. So this one's going to have more moisture to work with, and it starts to move into Arizona as we get into midday tomorrow. I think we see snow showers and rain showers develop mid to late afternoon, and then the heaviest precipitation overnight Thursday into early Friday, and it quickly clears on Friday. So here's the National Weather Service graphic that I ripped off their page, and I appreciate them putting this out. And this is a look at our snowfall totals across the region. If I just step out of the way, the white area, broad area of 1 to 2 inches, 2 to 4 inches is the blue area all along the Mogollon Rim. But notice they have us here in Flagstaff in the 3 to 6 inch range, a little bit of the eastern Mogollon Rim and White Mountains 3 to 6, as well as up towards Grand Canyon country. So I do think that here in Flagstaff we are in that 3 to 6 inch range with the heaviest snow coming overnight Thursday into Friday, early Friday morning. By midday Friday, the storm system quickly clears, but 3 to 6 inches, that's a whole lot more than we've had around here in a long time. So hopefully this all pans out for us, because it's been a rough week of forecasting. Models have just been really poorly handling these weak storm systems, but I think they're latching on to the way this one's going to pan out for us tomorrow and into Friday. So overnight tonight for us, I think we see these skies clear out partially, 16 degrees, an early morning low for us in Flagstaff. Tomorrow the storm approaches, snow showers develop late afternoon, thinking 2 or 3 o'clock. They're fairly light through the day, starts to pick up as we get into Thursday overnight. High temperature 36 degrees. Okay, here's a look at the forecast temperatures. Sedona 51 tomorrow, Prescott 46. By the way, I haven't mentioned snow levels will remain right around 5,500 feet. Might see a little snow down to 5,000 feet, but most accumulation will be above 6,000 feet. All right, so here's the extended forecast. This storm system clears. We're into partly cloudy skies and warmer temperatures over the weekend. Another weak storm system Monday, which looks like a rain-snow mix for us here in Flagstaff and for you down in Sedona. A little bit of rain out there tomorrow night and into early Friday. Warm temperatures over the weekend, 64 degrees on Sunday.
Well, Lee, I can't think of a better day for National Weather Person's Day.
Yeah, I'm glad that they had to put aside a day for us.
Absolutely. I hope you got a lot of special attention.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put aside a day for boys basketball over at Flagstaff High.
Yeah, they are doing good. They actually have their 11th straight win last night, and I will tell you all about it when we come back.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
I was an ordinary guy, but I switched to Suddenlink's new internet, and now I can't stop being awesome, because it's the fastest in town. Downloads, uploads, any kind of load, everything just flows, at speeds 13 times faster than phone company DSL. Even when the whole family is online, there's no buffering. With DSL, we were suffering. Yep, anything the phone company can do, I can do faster. Now that I have the next big thing from Suddenlink, now that I have a house full of easy.
Well, as bummed as I am that football season is over, it just means that we are in the heart of hockey and basketball season, especially high school basketball, as playoffs and state games are on the minds of a few of our local teams. The Flagstaff Eagles is one of those teams, as they stretched their win streak to 11 last night, beating the Kingman Bulldogs 63-39. Kingman opened up the game with a 3, but that was the only time they were ahead, as Flagstaff came back with a 32-14 lead at halftime.
Yeah, well, you know, we've got a pretty good squad. We've been pushing the ball really well. I thought they've been moving the ball very well, getting everybody involved. They're looking for their teammates, and that'll make a big difference. You know, that's how they can score a lot of points that way.
The win locks the top spot for Flagstaff in Division II, Section 1. Trevor Johnson put up 17 points for the Eagles, 2 of those being dunks, which you will see one here pretty soon, and 15 of those points came in the first half. The Eagles are looking forward to their game on Friday when they face Coconino, but that isn't the only game on their mind. Trevor Johnson says the team is ready to take on State.
I wouldn't say we're relaxed. I think we're getting more focused because we're going into playoffs now, and so we're trying to really crack down and make this run for State. So I wouldn't say we're relaxed, but we're getting a lot more focused.
While the boys team is looking up, the Flagstaff Eagles had a rough start against Kingman last night and ended up losing 55-28. Flagstaff started slow as Kingman opened the game with a 15-point run, and it was all downhill from there for the Eagles. Kendall Kelly put up 16 points and was the only one who hit double digits. Flagstaff is looking to get back on their feet before playing Coconino on Friday. Both Coconino teams were on fire last night, but it was a close game for the boys as they took the game into overtime against the Mingus Marauders. With a buzzer beater shot and the game tied, Zach Begay made the shot far beyond the arc, giving Coconino the 78-75 win. Begay ended the night with 12 points, and Jacob Anderson finished with 18. The Coconino girls beat Mingus Union 54-50. This win gets the girls ready to face crosstown rivals Flagstaff on Friday. Both Coconino and Flagstaff are tied for the #1 spot, so Friday's game will determine who will get the #1 rank. It's playoff season for high school soccer as 2 of our local teams made it. The 6-seed Flagstaff girls take on the 11th-seed Sunny Slope High School tonight, and that game started at 5. And last update I got, there was no score at halftime. And the Coconino boys soccer team played last night as their playoff run ran a little short after losing to San Luis 7-0. After being down by 3 at the half, the Panthers couldn't come back as San Luis kept at it, putting in 4 more in the second. And although professional football may be over, colleges are starting to think about their upcoming season as it is signing day for the NAU football team tonight. And with signing day comes the arrival of 2 new coaches. Head coach Jerome Sowers invites offensive line coach Adam Stenovich and cornerbacks coach TJ Rushing. Both new coaches have 5 years of NFL experience. Rushing even received a ring from Super Bowl 41 when he was playing for the Colts. Your Phoenix Coyotes took on the Dallas Stars last night, and we're just going to jump into that game right here as Antoine Vermette with the puck took it down the ice, and he finds the back of the net, and things are looking up for the Yotes as they're ahead by 1. But Dallas on the power play with some crafty passing here. Horkoff scores in the back of the net, giving us a tie game 1-1. Stars with the puck again, making their way down the ice. Roussel takes a shot, and Mike Smith can't quite get the stop as Phoenix falls 2-0. 35 seconds left in the game. Yotes have everyone on offense trying to score, but the Stars get the puck, trying to clear it out. But of course, Garbutt bounces it off the wall right into the goal, and the Yotes lose 3-1.
All right, yeah, we're reset. You can just hit run once you have it highlighted on the, weather recap. You guys know, you just heard about the weather. We have the storm system moving in tomorrow. It's looking like best little moisture producer we've had around here in a while. So, it's kind of good news. Yeah.
Very exciting. I was starting to think it was time for spring.
I know, it was like the winter that never happened there for a second, but getting a little bit of it here.
I'm looking forward to the snow, especially due downtown. They need the snow for the event this weekend.
Right, due downtown, and we'll get a little snow before that, although the weather looks great and very mild for the event over the weekend. So.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.